Right now, the single most valuable company in the world is not an oil giant or a bank or a car maker. It is a chip company called Nvidia, and it is worth trillions of dollars for one reason. It makes the chips that run artificial intelligence, and for years the entire world has agreed that nobody, anywhere, could seriously challenge its lead. And then a team of Chinese scientists did something that was not supposed to be on the table at all. They built a computer chip that does not run on electricity the way every chip has for the last 70 years. It runs on light, and on certain artificial intelligence tasks, this light-powered chip did not just edge out Nvidia's very best processor. It beat it by a factor of 1,000, and in some measures by thousands more, while sipping a tiny fraction of the power. Tonight I am going to show you how a chip made of light can leave the world's finest silicon in the dust, why this is real and published in the most respected journals on Earth, and the honest catch that explains why Nvidia is not finished just yet. Let me start with why this is even possible, because once you understand it, the whole thing stops sounding like science fiction. Every normal computer chip, including every Nvidia chip, works by pushing electrons, tiny bits of electricity, through unbelievably small switches, billions of times a second. That is how it does math. And it runs into two brutal walls. The switches can only flip so fast, and every time electricity moves, it throws off heat. Push a modern chip hard enough, and it becomes a tiny furnace that you have to spend enormous energy just to cool. That heat, and that speed limit, is the ceiling the entire industry is now slamming into. Now here is the beautiful idea behind a light-based chip. Light does not have those problems. Light is the fastest thing in the universe, and when you do math with beams of light instead of pulses of electricity, you can perform staggering numbers of calculations at the same instant, in parallel, with almost no heat at all. It is not a faster version of the same idea. It is a completely different way to compute. And the way it does the math is almost poetic once you picture it. A huge part of what artificial intelligence actually does, under the hood, is multiply enormous grids of numbers together, over and over, billions of times. On a normal chip, each of those tiny multiplications is a separate electrical step, but with light, you can send beams through carefully shaped glass and lenses, and let the beams themselves interfere and combine, and the physics of the light doing its natural thing performs that entire grid of multiplications in a single pass, at the speed of light, for almost no energy. The chip is not calculating the answer step by step. It is arranging light so that the answer simply falls out the other side. You are, in a real sense, computing with a controlled beam of sunlight instead of a river of electricity. And that is why the numbers that come next sound impossible. And the Chinese results are genuinely stunning, so let me give them to you straight, with the real numbers. A team at one of China's top universities built a chip called Excel, which combines light and analog electronics, and published the work in one of the world's most prestigious science journals. For a specific kind of task, the computer vision work that lets machines recognize what they are looking at, that chip reportedly ran the job around 3,000 times faster than Nvidia's flagship data center processor. And here is the number that truly stuns engineers. It did it using around 4 million times less energy. Not 4 million%, 4 million times. A second Chinese chip, from the same university, named Taichi, went even further and showed it could actually train artificial intelligence models using light itself, running roughly 1,000 times more efficiently than Nvidia's very latest and most powerful chip. And a third design packed more than 2 million light-based neurons onto a single chip to generate images and video. These are not rumors on a forum, they are peer-reviewed results in the top journals on the planet. If you want to follow the breakthroughs that could quietly reshuffle the entire technology world, then subscribe to Sinova, because separating the real science from the noise and telling you which is the whole reason this channel exists. Now let me explain why this matters so much, and it comes back to a wall we have talked about before. Artificial intelligence today is not really limited by clever ideas anymore. It is limited by power and heat. The giant data centers that train these models already consume as much electricity as entire nations, and a huge share of that is just fighting the heat that silicon chips throw off. Companies are literally reopening old power plants and planning new ones just to feed their machines. So imagine what happens if you can do the same artificial intelligence work using a tiny fraction of the energy. With almost no heat, you do not just save on the electricity bill, you blow straight through the wall that is about to stop everyone else. A light-based chip is not just a curiosity. It is a possible escape hatch from the single biggest bottleneck in all of technology, and China is the one that built the first working versions and showed them to the world. And to feel why this is worth a fortune, look at why Nvidia became the most valuable company on the planet in the first place. It did not happen because of phones or video games. It happened because the entire world suddenly needed an unimaginable amount of computing power to build artificial intelligence, and Nvidia made the one thing everyone needed to buy. Whoever sells the shovels in a gold rush gets rich, and Nvidia sold the shovels. But a shovel that needs its own power plant just to run has a hard limit. If a light-based chip can do the same digging for a fraction of the energy, then whoever controls that chip controls the next gold rush, and the fortune that comes with it. That is the true size of the prize sitting on the table here. And here is the part that ties it to the bigger war. The reason Chinese planners love this so much. Remember that America banned China from the most advanced machine for making traditional silicon chips, the one that carves circuits ever smaller. That entire strategy is built around one assumption, that the future of computing is smaller and smaller silicon. But a light-based chip changes the board completely, because many of these photonic designs do not need that forbidden cutting-edge machine at all. They are built on larger, older techniques that China already has, and their power comes not from shrinking silicon, but from using light in a smarter way. In other words, China may have found a path to the future of computing that simply walks around the wall the West spent years building. You cannot ban a country from using light. And it is worth understanding that this is not one lucky lab, it is a wave. Team after team, at China's top universities, has been publishing light-based chip breakthroughs, one after another, in the world's most respected journals. This is what a national strategy looks like when it actually works. A country decided, years ago, that photonics might be a way to leapfrog the West rather than chase it, and it poured money, talent, and patience into that bet across dozens of laboratories at once. So when you see one stunning result, understand that behind it stands a deep, deliberate, well-funded push, the very same kind of coordinated effort that turned China into the world's battery superpower, and its solar superpower before that. One breakthrough can be luck. A steady drumbeat of them, year after year, is a plan. Now, I promised you honesty, and this is the most important part of the whole video, so please do not turn it off before you hear it, because the hype online leaves it out, and it completely changes the picture. These light chips are not general-purpose replacements for an Nvidia processor. Not even close, not yet. That mind-bending 3,000 times figure is for one narrow, specific type of task, and it is measured in a way that flatters it. When you compare the chips fairly across the messy range of real-world jobs, the advantage shrinks dramatically. In some honest comparisons, down to just a few times faster rather than thousands. These are specialized tools, brilliant at one thing, not the flexible all-rounders that Nvidia sells. On top of that, they exist right now mostly as laboratory prototypes. You cannot order a rack of them for your data center. And Nvidia's real moat was never only its hardware. It is the enormous web of software that millions of engineers already know how to use, and that kind of ecosystem takes many years to replace. And there is a deeper reason for caution, one the honest experts always raise. Computing with light is not a new dream at all. It has been called the future of computing for decades, and for decades it has stumbled at the very same hurdle, the messy, expensive, unglamorous work of turning a beautiful physics demonstration into something you can manufacture cheaply and program reliably. Many brilliant optical computers have been built over the years and then quietly abandoned. On top of that, several of these chips are what engineers call analog, which means they are dazzlingly fast and efficient, but slightly imprecise, better suited to certain narrow tasks than to the exact, flexible number crunching that general artificial intelligence so often needs. None of that erases the achievement. but it is the difference between an astonishing proof that something can be done and a finished tool that has actually replaced what came before. So no, Nvidia is not dead. Anyone telling you a Chinese light chip killed Nvidia overnight is selling you a fantasy. Here is the re-hook though, because the honest version is actually more interesting than the hype, not less. The point is not that China built something that beats Nvidia at everything tomorrow. The point is the direction. Look closely at what is happening. The West is doubling down on the old game, the race to shrink silicon smaller and smaller, the exact game it has banned China from playing. And instead of just trying to catch up in that race, China quietly placed a huge bet on a completely different game, computing with light, where the ban does not even apply and where the laws of physics are far friendlier to what artificial intelligence actually needs. China is not only trying to beat Nvidia at Nvidia's game, it is trying to change which game the world plays. And on that new board, the one made of light, it may already be in the lead. So step back and see the pattern, because you have seen it before and you will see it again. When the West tried to lock China out of the future of chips, it assumed the future had only one road, and that it controlled the gate on that road. China's answer was not to beg for the key. It was to go looking for a different road entirely, and to pour its scientists and its money into finding one. Sometimes that road is a way to make old machines do new tricks, as with the banned chip machine. And sometimes it is something far more radical, like deciding that the future of thinking machines might not run on electricity at all, but on beams of light. The West built a wall. China is building a door in a different wall entirely, one the West did not think to guard. And that is the deeper thing to understand about this whole contest. A ban, any ban, only works if there is exactly one road to the destination, and you control it. But technology almost never has just one road. Every single time the West has tried to freeze China in place by guarding one path, China has answered with a simple, dangerous question. What if we do not need that path at all? What if there is another way entirely? Sometimes that other way is a clever workaround on old machines, and sometimes it is a leap onto a completely different technology, like trading electricity itself for light. A country that keeps asking that question and keeps funding the answer across dozens of labs is very hard to wall in for long. Walls assume the other side stays still. This one is running. None of this means the war is won, and I will keep saying that, because it is true. Nvidia's lead is real. Its software empire is real, and turning a dazzling laboratory chip into a product the world can actually buy is a long, brutal road that most breakthroughs never survive. But the comfortable assumption, the one that said the future of artificial intelligence would be decided entirely by one American company on one narrow path, is looking shakier every year. Because while everyone was watching that one race, China quietly lit a different one, and it is running hard. If you want to keep watching which of these bets actually pays off, the light chips, the banned machines, and the real story underneath the headlines, then subscribe to Sonova. Because the next time someone tells you that one company owns the future of computing, you can remind them that the future has a way of arriving from a direction nobody was watching, sometimes at the speed of light.